I kept Lucian's hoodie. Not because he told me to, but because I didn't want to give it back. It sounds stupid, but some small things carry a strange kind of weight, like the faint scent still clinging to the fabric, or the warmth it gives on cold mornings. I started wearing it more often than I should, and every time I did, I thought of him. We began running into each other more often. Not planned, not dates. Just coincidences, or at least, they looked like coincidences. In the library, at the cafe, on the narrow path behind the dorms. As if this university wasn't big enough for us to avoid each other, even if we wanted to. "You're here again," I said when I saw Lucian sitting in his usual corner of the cafe. He looked up, a small smile tugging at his lips. "I could say the same to you. I was here first." "Not exactly." I pulled out a chair and sat down. No asking, no permission needed. We'd moved past that stage. "What are you drawing?" I asked. Lucian turned his sketchbook toward me. I looked down, and immediately recognized it. Me again. "Yeah." "I don't remember agreeing to this many times." Lucian shrugged. "You never said no." "I should start charging you." "Fine. What's your price?" Lucian thought for a second. "Coffee?" I laughed. "Too cheap." "Then, my time." That sentence sounded simple, but it made me pause. I looked at him. Lucian wasn't smiling. He just watched me, as if he had no idea what those words could mean. "That sounds more expensive," I said softly. "So you accept?" I didn't answer right away, but I didn't refuse either. "You free?" I asked. "Right now?" "Yeah." Lucian closed his sketchbook. "Free. Want to grab something to eat?" "Sure." That's how our moments began. Eating dinner together, studying together, sitting in silence together. We never gave it a name, but it was clear. It wasn't coincidence anymore. "I think you're avoiding it," Lucian said one evening in the library. I frowned. "Avoiding what?" "The answer." I sighed and leaned back in my chair. "We're back to this again?" Lucian didn't say anything. He just looked at me. "What do you want me to say?" I asked. "The truth." "I already told you. I don't know." "That's not the whole truth." I stayed quiet, because he was right. I stopped, searching for words. "I still have feelings for him." Lucian nodded. "Yeah. But I also—" I couldn't finish. I didn't dare. "Also what?" Lucian asked gently. I stared at the table. "Also don't want to lose you." The air froze. I didn't dare look up. Didn't dare see his reaction. A long silence. Very long. Then, "I'm not asking you to choose right now," Lucian said. His voice was calm, but something was different. Lighter. Farther away. I lifted my head. "But you're waiting," I said. Lucian didn't deny it. "Yeah." That answer. It was so honest it hurt. Everything started changing after that. Not in big, obvious ways, but in the small details. Lucian was still there. Still met me. Still talked to me. But he no longer moved closer like before. No more moments where the distance disappeared. No more lingering looks that lasted too long. It was as if he was holding a part of himself back. And I realized, I hated that. "Why did you stop?" I asked one night as we walked back to the dorms. Lucian glanced at me, frowning slightly. "Stop what?" "You know what I mean." He was quiet for a few seconds. Then he exhaled. "I don't want to be someone's second choice." Those words, they hit me straight in the chest. "I didn't." "You didn't try," Lucian cut in. "I know." "Then. But it still feels that way." I couldn't say anything. "Magnus," he said, his voice softer. "I like you." My heart pounded. But I can't pretend that you're still hung up on your ex. Doesn't affect me. I swallowed hard. I get it. Yeah. A pause. So what now? I asked. Lucian stared straight ahead. Now we just stay like this. Like what? Like not crossing the line. I gave a small, humorless laugh. Sounds really safe. Yeah. You always choose safe? Lucian shook his head lightly. Not always. Then why this time? He turned to look at me, his eyes deeper than I'd ever seen. Because this time, I don't want to lose. I stood there, not knowing what to say, because I understood. If I took one more step, nothing could ever go back to the way it was. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay on my bed staring at the ceiling, my mind spinning. Images of him, his voice, old memories, and Lucian, his eyes, the way he said, I like you, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. No drama, no show, just real. I turned over, pulled his hoodie tighter around me, breathed in deep. That scent. It wasn't just comforting anymore. It was dangerous, because I was starting to realize I didn't just need Lucian to show up at the right time. I was starting to want him to stay, but I still wasn't ready to let go of the past. And that was what made everything harder than ever. I should have known where this was heading, but I let it happen anyway. It was a Saturday night. I was in my room, trying to finish a design project but unable to focus. My phone kept buzzing, messages from friends, group chats. And from him. I hadn't replied in 2 days, but he kept texting. Can we talk more? I don't want things to end like this. Magnus, please. I stared at the screen. My heart started that uncomfortable pounding again. I hated this. Hated that he could still affect me like this. In a moment of weakness, I replied. We met for the second time. Not outside the library. At his apartment, about 10 minutes from campus by bike. I knew I shouldn't go. I knew it perfectly well. But I still stood in front of his door and knocked lightly. The door opened almost immediately. He stood there, looking at me like I had never left. You came, he said. I didn't answer, just stepped inside. The room was the same. Everything too familiar. And that familiarity made it dangerous. Want something to drink? He asked. No. A silence. Magnus. I'm not staying long. I cut in. Say what you want to say. He nodded, a little tense. I've been thinking a lot, he started. And I realized I was wrong. I crossed my arms and leaned against the wall. Yeah. I shouldn't have left you like that. Yeah. You already said that. I cut in again. Get to the point. He looked at me, took a deep breath. Come back to me. Those words. Again. But this time they didn't shock me like before. They just weighed heavy. And you're sure it'll be different this time? I asked. Yeah. Why? Because I understand now. I let out a short laugh. Understand what? That I can't lose you. I looked at him, tried to find some sign, something that would make me believe him, but I wasn't sure. You can't guarantee that, I said. I know. Then why are you saying it? Because I want to try again. Silence. The air in the room grew heavy. What about you? He asked. What do you want? I opened my mouth, then stopped. What did I want? I wanted familiarity, safety, something I once had. But I also wanted Lucian. Damn it. Magnus. I don't know, I said. He stepped closer. Too close. You don't have to be sure, he said softly. Just give us one more chance. I should have stepped back. I knew that, but I didn't, because part of me still wanted to believe. And then he kissed me, sudden, familiar, and wrong. I froze, didn't kiss back, didn't push him away immediately, just stood there for a few seconds. Too long, too dangerous. Then I shoved him back. No, I said, breathing hard. He looked at me, confused. Magnus. No. I stepped back. My heart was racing. This isn't right. We just need time. It's not time, I cut in. It's not you. Those words. I never thought I would say them, but they came out. And once they did, I couldn't take them back. He stood there, staring at me, like I had just broken something. Is it because of someone else? He asked. I stayed silent. That was my answer. He gave a bitter laugh. 3 weeks. He shook his head. Just 3 weeks. I didn't plan this. You always say that. I'm not lying. But you didn't stop it either. I didn't argue, because couldn't. I left his apartment faster than I had arrived. Didn't look back. Didn't say anything else. Cold wind hit my face as I stepped outside. I breathed hard, like I had just escaped something. But it also felt like I had just broken something else. I didn't know where I was going. Only that my feet carried me automatically toward campus. Toward somewhere familiar. And then I saw him. Lucian was standing in front of the art building. Under the lights. Just like the first time. Just like the second time. Always at the right moment. My heart skipped. But this time, it wasn't from relief. It was because I wasn't sure I deserved him being there. Magnus. His voice, calm, but not as warm as before. What are you doing here? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Lucian looked at me for a long time. Then, I think that's my line. I froze. What do you mean? Lucian didn't answer right away. He just looked at me, as if waiting for me to say it myself. And then, I realized, he knew, not every detail, but enough. I went to see him, I said. Lucian nodded. Yeah. Just to talk. Yeah. I didn't. Magnus. He cut me off. For the first time. His voice wasn't loud, but firm. I fell silent. I don't need you to explain, Lucian said. Those words. Colder than I expected. But I want. I know you're not ready, he continued. I already said that. I swallowed. But? Lucian looked at me, his eyes no longer soft like before. But I didn't think I'd have to stand here wondering where you just came from. I couldn't speak, because I knew. He had every right. Have you chosen yet? Lucian asked. The question came too fast, too direct. I couldn't answer, not because I didn't know, but because I was afraid to say it. Lucian nodded slowly, as if he already had his answer. Yeah, he said. Then he turned away. Lucian. Don't, he said without turning back. Just one word. But it was enough to make me stop. I'm not angry, he added. I just don't want to stay in a place where I'm not the one chosen. My chest tightened. Lucian, please. But he was already walking away. Didn't stop. Didn't look back. And for the first time, the person who always showed up at the right time had left. I stood there, alone, once again. But this time, no one was going to appear to pull me out. I didn't chase after Lucian, not because I didn't want to, but because I knew. If I called his name right then, I wouldn't know what to say. Hold on. Sorry? Or just be selfish one more time? So I stayed still and let him go. 3 days later, I didn't see Lucian anywhere. Not at the cafe. Not at the library. Not on the path behind the dorms. Not anywhere. First, I thought it was just coincidence. That he was busy. That we had simply fallen out of sync. But by the 4th day, I started to understand. He was avoiding me. Are you looking for someone? I jumped at the voice of a classmate in the library. No, I said immediately. Too fast. Too obviously a lie. She raised an eyebrow. You look like you're guarding the door. I'm just waiting for someone. Girlfriend. I gave a weak smile. No. Boyfriend. I didn't answer, and that was enough for her to understand. Oh, she said, her tone softening. Fight. I looked down at the table. Something like that. You should go find him, she said simply. I smiled faintly. It's not always that easy. No, she shrugged. But losing someone is even harder. Those words stuck in my head. I went looking for Lucian that afternoon. Not by chance. On purpose. I asked a few people in the art department. Eventually I found out he was in the studio. I stood in front of the door, hesitating. My hand rose, then dropped. Again and again. I had never felt this, unsure of myself. Finally, I knocked. No answer. I tried the handle. The door wasn't locked. Lucian was there, sitting with his back to the door in front of a large canvas. Headphones on. He didn't hear me. I stood there for a few seconds, just watching. The way he moved, focused, precise, as if nothing else in the world existed. I realized this was his world, a world I didn't belong in. Lucian. He stopped, slowly took off his headphones, turned around, and when our eyes met, I knew nothing was the same anymore. Hi, I said. Lucian looked at me, not surprised, not annoyed, just distant. Hi. A silence. I was looking for you, I said. Yeah. Just that. No more questions. No interest shown. I swallowed. Can we talk? Lucian turned back to his painting. We are talking. I'm serious. Yeah. He kept painting, as if I wasn't there. That hurt more than I expected. Lucian, please. He stopped, put down his brush, but didn't turn around right away. What do you want to say? He asked. I'm sorry. For? I hesitated. For that night. Yeah. For not being clear. Yeah. And for Magnus. He turned around, this time looking straight at me. Don't apologize if you're still not sure. My throat tightened. You think I'm not serious? I think you're confused, Lucian said, and that's not wrong. But I don't want to be part of that confusion. Those words. Clear, decisive, no room for misunderstanding. I don't see you as a choice, I said quickly, but you treated me like one. I stayed silent, because he was right. I just need time, I said, my voice growing weaker. Lucian looked at me, his eyes no longer cold, but not warm either, just tired. How long? I couldn't answer. A week? A month? I didn't know. And that was the answer. Lucian nodded slightly. That's the problem. I stepped closer. Lucian, I don't want to lose you. He gave a small, joyless smile. You're not losing me, he said. I'm just stepping back. Isn't that the same? It's not. How? Lucian looked at me, for a long time, in the way that, if you decide to go back to him, I won't be there to watch. My chest tightened. I'm not going back to him, I said immediately. Are you sure? I opened my mouth, then stopped. Damn it. Lucian nodded. See. A long silence. The air in the room felt suffocating. I need you, I whispered. Lucian closed his eyes for a second, then opened them. You need someone, he corrected. No, I shook my head. It's you. Magnus. I know I was wrong, I cut in. I know I hurt you, but don't disappear like this. My voice was no longer steady, no longer in control. I hated it, but I didn't stop. You said you like me, I continued. So at least, give me a chance to fix it. Lucian was silent. For a very long time, I could see him thinking, weighing it, and that scared me, because this time, the decision wasn't mine anymore. One chance, he repeated. Yeah. To do what? To prove that I don't see you as a second choice. Lucian looked at me, deeply, as if trying to read whether I was telling the truth. I don't need you to prove it with words, he said finally. Then with what? A pause. Then, actions. I nodded. Okay. And Magnus? Yeah. If you go back to him. I won't, I said immediately. Lucian shook his head lightly. Let me finish. I stayed quiet. If you go back to him, he said slowly, don't come looking for me anymore. Those words weren't harsh, but they drew a clear line. I swallowed. Okay. You sure? I looked at him. For the first time in many days. I didn't hesitate. Yeah. Lucian nodded. Then we'll see. I left the studio that day with a strange feeling. Not quite relief, but not the despair I had felt before. I had one chance. Just one. And this time, I knew I couldn't stand in the middle anymore, because if I did, I would lose the person who always showed up at the right time. Forever. I didn't go back to see him. Not because he stopped texting. On the contrary, he kept texting. Every day. Long messages, short ones, sometimes just, are you okay? Sometimes long explanations, apologies, memories. I read them, but I didn't reply. First, it was hard. Very hard. I was used to responding. Used to keeping the connection. Even if it wasn't healthy. But this time, I stopped. Not because I no longer felt anything, but because I was starting to understand. Some feelings don't need to be acted on. I think you're doing the right thing, Lucian said as we sat on the familiar steps outside. I glanced at him. You know what I'm doing? Lucian shrugged. I can guess. I haven't said anything. You don't need to. I smiled faintly. You can always read me, huh? No, he shook his head. It's just, this time you're clearer. I looked down at my hands. I still think about him. Yeah. I still remember. Yeah. I still feel the pain. Lucian didn't say anything right away. He just sat there, his shoulder lightly touching mine. Not too far. Not too close. Just the right distance. You don't have to stop feeling, he said after a while. Just don't let it decide for you. I exhaled. It's hard. Yeah. But I'm trying. Lucian nodded. I can see that. We didn't talk much about us. We didn't define it, didn't name it, but everything changed. Slowly, naturally, without force. One afternoon, I was in the studio when Lucian showed up. No warning, no text, just walked in. I thought you didn't like this place, I said without looking up. I don't, he replied, but I like you being here. I paused, looked up. Lucian stood there holding 2 cups of coffee, just like the first time, but different. Are you trying to flirt with me? I asked. Maybe. I smiled, a real smile, not forced, not tired. This time it feels more legal, I said. Yeah, Lucian said. Feels better, doesn't it? I thought for a second. Yeah. And for the first time, I said it without hesitation. We started touching more. Not on purpose. But we didn't avoid it either. A brush of hands when passing something. A shoulder leaning against mine when we sat too long. Once Lucian pulled me back when I almost walked into a glass door. Small things. But they meant something. Magnus. Are you sure? We were sitting on the dorm rooftop. A new spot Lucian had found. The wind was strong. The sky was dark. But the city in the distance glowed brightly. I haven't replied to him in a week, I said. Not that. I turned to look at him. Then what? Lucian looked straight at me. Me. My heart skipped. What do you mean? Are you sure you're not just moving from one person to another? That question hurt, but it was necessary. I stayed silent, not because I didn't know, but because I needed to be sure, really sure. I've thought about that, I said slowly. Yeah. A lot. Lucian didn't speak. He just waited. I won't deny that you came at the right time, I continued. Too right. Yeah. And maybe, if it had been a different time, things would be different. My heart beat faster. But that doesn't make this any less real. Lucian kept his eyes on me, unblinking. I didn't choose you because I was lonely, I said. I chose you, even while I was still hurting. A long silence. Very long. The wind blew between us. Lucian didn't say anything, but I could tell. He was listening, really listening. And I don't know what the future holds, I added. But this time, I'm not standing in the middle anymore. My heart pounded. I choose you, Lucian. Nothing happened right away. No dramatic music. No explosive moment. Just Lucian looking at me, for a long time, as if checking every word I had said. You sure? He asked. I nodded. Yeah. No going back? No. No hesitation? I've hesitated enough. A pause. Then, Lucian exhaled, lightly, like he had just let go of something heavy. Okay, he said, just that. But different. I don't remember who moved first. Maybe me, maybe him, or maybe both at the same time. All I know is, the distance between us disappeared. Once again. But this time, no one walked away. You can still change your mind, Lucian whispered. I know. And I won't. I didn't let him finish. I pulled him closer and kissed him. Not like before. No hesitation. No wrongness. Just right. In a terrifying way. But also, right. Lucian froze for a second, then kissed me back. His hand rested on the back of my neck, pulling me closer. Not rough, but certain. As if he had been waiting for this moment for a long time. My heart raced. But this time, it wasn't from fear. When we pulled apart, neither of us spoke. We just looked at each other. Close. So close. Hi, I whispered. Lucian let out a soft laugh. Hi. I guess, we're not like this anymore. Yeah. So what are we? Lucian tilted his head, thought for a moment. Then, the beginning. And for the first time, the person who always showed up at the right time didn't just show up, he stayed. Everything didn't become perfect after that kiss. And honestly, I didn't want it to be perfect, because for the first time I understood that a real relationship isn't one without problems. It's having someone who stays to solve them with you. The next morning, I woke up with a strange feeling. Not the kind of relief after surviving a storm, but the kind of realizing I had just stepped into something real, something I couldn't go back from. I reached for my phone. No new messages from him. I stared at the screen for a while. Then, I deleted the chat. No hesitation. No saving anything. Just deleted. And when I finished, I didn't feel the loss I thought I would. Just closure. You look different, Lucian said when we met at the cafe. Different how? Lighter. I smiled faintly. I just did something. Yeah. I deleted him. Lucian didn't react right away. He just looked at me, as if confirming I was serious. Yeah, he said finally. That's it. What do you want me to say? I don't know. Something like, wow Magnus, you're amazing or whatever. Lucian laughed. You want me to compliment you? Maybe. No. I pretended to sigh. So hard to please. But I'm proud of you, he added. His voice was light, not joking, and that meant more than any compliment. We started dating. For real. No more ambiguity. No more just like this. It was clear. Lucian held my hand for the first time as we walked across campus. No asking. No hesitation. Just did it. And I didn't let go. Did you ever think you'd be in a relationship like this? I asked one evening as we lay on the dorm rooftop. Lucian lay beside me, one arm behind his head. No, he said. No. Yeah. Why? Lucian was quiet for a moment. Because I didn't believe in right person, right time. I turned to look at him. And now? He looked back at me, his eyes different. Now I think someone can become the right person when they show up at the right time. My heart skipped. Sounds like a movie title. Yeah, Lucian smiled softly. But you get it. I did, more than anyone. We weren't spared the difficult moments. There were days I still thought about him. Moments when old memories came back. Times when I stayed silent for too long. You're thinking about him again? Lucian asked once. I didn't deny it. Yeah. He nodded. Not angry. Just accepting. Do you want to talk about it? He asked. Not really. Yeah. He didn't push. He just sat there, beside me, the way he always did. And little by little, those memories stopped being scary. Not because they disappeared, but because I no longer had to face them alone. I have a question, Lucian said one afternoon while we were in the studio. Sounds dangerous. It might be. Go ahead. He looked at me. What do you think would have happened if we hadn't met that night? I thought about it. For a long time. I might have punched someone, I said. Lucian laughed. Possible. And maybe I would have gone back to him. He stayed silent. What about you? I asked. Lucian shrugged. I would still be painting. And maybe painting someone else. I frowned. I don't like the sound of that. Yeah, he smiled softly. I don't either. I looked at him. For a long time. You know, I said, I used to think you were just someone who showed up at the right time. Lucian tilted his head. And now? Now I think. I paused, searched for the words. You didn't just show up at the right time. My heart slowed. You also stayed in the right way. Lucian didn't say anything, but his eyes said everything. We left the studio when the sky had turned dark. Walked across campus. Gentle breeze. Not too cold. Lucian held my hand. I squeezed back. No need for words. No need for explanations. Just being there. Together. And if anyone ever asked me, who was the person who always